Yes, can you see the screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We are going to start a new writer, Franz Kafka, 1883-1924. Basically, he was born in Prague, the Kingdom of Bohemia, Austria-Hungarian Empire. Basically, this uh, empire is now Czechoslovakia, as you can remember. But before that, it was Bohemia, and kingdom was there, and it was Austria-Hungarian Empire in Europe. Kafka was a German-speaking Bohemian novelist and a short story writer. So we this here it is an introduction to this writer, and his stories and his novels are very much famous.
Tani kya ho gaya?
Can you see the screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, any one of you read the screen? Yes, the slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please read it.
List of his work, themes, the trial, metamorphosis, the castle, America, letters to his father, the judgment, and meditation. Exploring themes of alienation, uh, existential anxiety, guilt, and absurdity. He has a strained and a formal relation with his father, magical realism in his work, blend of realism and fantastic. His protagonists are in clash with socio bureaucratic powers.
Bureaucratic powers.
Bureaucratic powers.
Yes. And this is list of his work and themes basically. In your presentation, I gave you the topic magical realism, and Franz Kafka, basically, he's one of the famous writers regarding magical realism. So these are the work, the trial, metamorphosis, the castle, America, letters to his father. We are going to read his letters to his fathers, and you see a judgment, meditation, etc. When we discuss Kafka regarding his writings, so he always explores the themes of alienation. Do you understand the meaning of alienation? Yes. Anyone can tell me the alienation? What's the meaning of alienation? Yes, anyone? What's meaning of alienation, beta?
Sir, it may be isolation.
It is isolation, because alienation, when
Okay.
you are separated from the society, when you are all alone, you are isolated, and you are
Loneliness.
alienation. And another element that is existentialist anxiety. So, you know, when you exist, but over there, anxiety, and you haven't got the peace of mind or satisfaction. So these are the themes he tries to explore his novels and short stories. And sense of guilt, again, sense of when you do any kind of sin, uh, when you do any kind of evil, then you feel sense of guilt and absurdity. Again, when we go through his novels, go through his work, we can feel these things over there. Actually, Kafka has a strained and formal relation with his father. So Kafka was not satisfied with his father, so he hadn't got good terms or good relations with his father. Though he accepted the fact that His father contributed a lot, but he was not satisfied in the sense that his father was there in his room reading the books and he was busy in his work. And Kafka wanted his father to come to him and to share certain things with him. Or he was hesitant and he was shy, therefore he did not go to his father. So we can say that there was communication gap between him and his father. And because of that communication gap, so he was not confident, he was shy, and he was suffering from anxiety, and he considered life absurd because he didn't believe in optimism, hope, or he was not religious person. So you can say that it was his condition. So his reaction, his attitudes uh, came in his writings, because whatever he faced, so he faced bitter situations, circumstances. His father was bitter and angry to him. So these things, came in his, those elements came in his writings. So when we talk about trial, basically trial in there are two things: magical realism in his work, and his protagonists are in clash with socio bureaucratic powers. Basically, in trial, what Kafka tries to promote, Kafka says that the judgment, basically the court judgment, should be based on moral good. So when there is a moral goodness in court judgment, the society is going to be good. So the society will be a constructive society. But when it is when there is a corruption, when the wrong decisions are being given by these judges, so there is no concept of moral good. So there is a subjectivity in Kafka's writing. In trial, we can say that the hero, basically he appears in the court. So whatever he feels, so he's dissatisfied with the proceedings of the court, and whatever he feels about the judgment, the system, he talks about, and he doesn't hesitate, he doesn't feel shy. Basically, Kafka's characters and heroes are in clash with the society, clash with the system. So it means that they don't want to become the part of that system, because the system is corrupt. So when corruption is going on and you are not part of that corruption, whether it is moral or material corruption, so you can say you feel a lot of isolation, you feel alienation in that. So Kafka's life was better in the sense that he hadn't got good relation with his father. So there was no effective communication between his father and between him and his father. When he wrote letters to his father, so he did not have courage to give those letters to his father, as we know that he was not confident, he was diffident, and he was shy, and he was coward in this sense that, and that shyness and uh, uh, diffident nature, basically it was according to Kafka in his letters, he mentioned it was fault of his father. So so we can say that his heroes, his protagonists are not satisfied with the system and society because of the corruption. And the second thing is magical realism in his work. Basically, magical realism there is a blend of realism and fantastic. So magic is fantastic, something that is supernatural, and realism means based on reality. Things are based on reality. So there is a combination of reality and magic. There's a combination of realism and fantastic as it is happening in metamorphosis. Basically, in metamorphosis means transformation of one species to another one. So here in metamorphosis, Gregor is a character, is a protagonist, is the hero. So he transforms into insect. So again, you see that this is the coincident. So this is by accident, you can say that. So there is no cause and there is no reason behind it. So basically, Kafka is of the opinion that life is by accident, life is by incident, so life is by chance. So there is no reason, and then there is no grave and objective meaning behind that. Are you getting me, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So two elements basically are you know that very important in Kafka's writing, because I have mentioned a few famous writings of Kafka, and these two elements, magical realism and the clash with the society, socio bureaucratic. Now you as we know that in our country, when we talk about establishment, we talk about army, we talk about bureaucrats. Basically, bureaucrats, after doing CSs, the officers become bureaucrats in different departments. And basically, they have the real power. They have the real authority to run the government. So, whenever they yes, they have authority and they have power to run the government, and sometimes they go against the norms, they go against the law, and people suffer. They do a lot of corruption, and people suffer because of their bad decisions. The country suffers as well. So whenever the common herd, the common people, they don't speak against these people, because whenever you are speaking against establishment, you will suffer, and you will face a lot of music. So in these writings, in trial, in metamorphosis, in castle, we can say that the hero, the protagonist, basically uh, he suffers due to that. Even in magical realism, in metamorphosis, as Gregor is the main character and the hero in this novel, but after that, when he becomes insect, after that, how does his family react to him? So how does his family behave towards him? So that is the main. So it means that he changes into insect. It doesn't mean that he has got punishment. Kafka doesn't believe in that punishment, or you can say that the person suffers due to his sins or evil nature. Kafka doesn't believe in that, because he believes in absurdity, and again he thinks that there is no meaning of life as well. Yes, are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Yes. Again, we go to another slide. Yes, any one of you can read this. Yes, साजदा बेटा आप पढ़ लें इसको.
Absurdity and the elements of chance. The meta forces George transforms into insect by a mere uh, consent, coincidence rather
Coincidence.
than uh, deserve deserve his fate. absurdity
Okay, well,
of
one
the
minute.
story.
Yes, better 1 minute. So I have told you earlier in metamorphosis, metamorphosis basically is the main work of Kafka. So in that, Gregor transformed into insect by a mere coincidence. So there is no reason behind it. So it is impossible a human being or human can change into insect. It is impossible. But there is uh, blending of reality with magic, you can say that. So it is not possibly it is not possibility, you can say that it is impossibility. But with the help of realism, with the help of reality, this impossibility becomes possibility. So this is a mere coincidence, so he does not deserve this fate. So if a person uh, transform from human into insect, naturally we can say that he will suffer. So this is not a reason because of the sufferings because of sin or because of guilt, but this is coincident. So when life is based on coincidence, when life is based on accident, you can say, or incident, you can say that, chance, you can say. So there is no importance of struggle of men. There is no importance of hard work of men. So you can say that when something is the lazy and lethargic people have a chance, and then they have coincidence, and they that will change their life. So the second element, yes, please read it. Sarza, better read it.
Absurdity of the story.
Hmm.
Now continue.
So when we talk about absurdity of the story, as you know that as you know, the theme of caretaker, the theme of waiting for Godot, the same thing, absurdity of the story is there. So there is not something serious or grave, or there is no dream, there is no objective, there is nothing serious. Uh, the hero, the protagonist is trying to achieve. So he hasn't got dreams. So he hasn't got object of life. So he hasn't got achievement regarding religion or something else. So he hasn't got, you can say that he hasn't got great values before him. So he doesn't believe in norms. So his life is going on, and then the situation and conditions, the circumstances are absurd. So life is absurd too. Yes. Go on, Sajda.
Universe governs without a system of order, the justice.
Yes. Universe
You
governs
continue.
without the system and order and justice. Basically, Kafka has got thought when in society, when there is a system and even there is absence of judgment, good judgment, there is absence of good decisions. When we talk about courts, when we talk about judgment, when the system is faulty one. So there are two systems. One is man-made system, as we observe in the society. Another one, we can say that as we are religious people, we are Muslims, we can say that there is a natural system, is a God-made system. But Kafka's stories and novels reflect that there is no governing body, you can say. There is no God, there is no system, there is no order, so there is no justice. So when we explore this concept, so we can say we need to believe in Big Bang theory. We need to believe that universe came by accident, by incident. There was no logic and there was no reason behind that. So these writers basically they uh, suffer a lot in their life. As we know, Kafka was suffering from tuberculosis, and because of that disease, because of that infection, he died and he suffered a lot. So his father was also one of the aspects, one of the element, so put him in sufferings. So therefore, his sufferings, his subjective life came in his writing. So we can say that there is lot of ingredients of his personal life in his writing. Yes.
Stories are full of conflict between a person and a community.
Person and community. You are, when you are not satisfied with the system, as we know that in our country we are not satisfied with many things. Inflation is there, and education is very costly, and the system is not running smoothly, and people are basically angry with the government. So when people are angry with the government, and they are basically angry with the system, angry with the people who are running the government. So you can say that uh, Kafka's heroes, basically protagonists, they are in the clash of society. So they are, because they don't agree with the norms, values, system, and traditions of society. So Kafka's heroes are rebellious by nature. They are not satisfied with the society, with the system of society, running system of society. Yes.
First person narrator that places himself in his thoughts and feelings.
There is always the first person narrative. As we know that in letter to his father, there is first person narrative. I, yes, you can say I. There is no he. Kafka is not talking about his character. You can say that he put himself in the place of hero or in the place of protagonist, and then he talks. So there is first person narrative. Yes.
Concept of guilt in his stories.
Yes, the concept of guilt in his stories. As we know that when we do something wrong, when we involve in moral corruption, yes, there is a natural system. There is natural system, that is we feel guilt. So his characters feel guilt whenever they do something wrong. So there is a concept of guilt in his stories also. And because of that guilt, whenever we do sin, whenever we commit evil, any kind of evil, we suffer mentally. Guilt basically put us in psychological sufferings, in psychological predicament. So guilt is basically is putting you in the situation where you regret later on in your life. If your life is guilty, you suffer a lot psychologically. Yes.
Impossible situation. The creation of situations that appear completely absurd and impossible.
As I have already told you, that impossible situation, the creation of situation that appear completely absurd and impossible, as in the case of uh, metamorphosis, the case of Gregor, the case of trial. So during trial, when judges are there and the protagonist is before the judge, before the judges, basically he thinks that he is in an awkward situation. So he is not in a good situation. He's absurd, an absurd situation, because they ask him absurd type of questions. So uh, when courts do not deliver, so when they are unreasonable, when their decisions are not good, we can say that this is all absurd. And again, you know, you can see isolation and alienation in his characters. The characters feel, basically the characters feel isolation and alienation, as Kafka himself feels isolation and alienation. So we are going to uh, reads letters to his father. Now he considers father abusive, and he also consider his father narcissist. What's meaning of narcissist, Veda? Any one of you? Yes, what is meaning of narcissist? Anyone? You can Google it and see that. Yes. Yes, anyone? The person has got personality disorders. The person has got mental psychological disorders. uh, we call him narcissist. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We go to the last slide, that is letters to his father, because I will share with you a PDF file, letters to his father, and his father's name is Herman Kafka. Yes, Asiya beta, you read it. You read the last slide.
Letter to his father, Herman Kafka. Kafka is afraid of his father.
So he is
Though his
afraid of his
father-
father. As we know that the son has got affiliation with his father. As we know that there is always emotional interpretation between father and son. But there is a communication gap between Kafka and his father. So he's afraid of his father. He's scared of his father, and we can say that when there is a communication gap, so we can't understand a man, so we have got our own interpretation. So Kafka considers his father hard-hearted person, a person who is not cooperative by nature. Yes.
Though his father worked hard for his family, he remains unable to provide a sense of gratitude to him.
So
His father wanted
this is the same case, as we know that in modern era, fathers are earning for their families, for the sons, for the daughters, and father has become ATM machine. But as we know that when father does not befriend with the family, befriend with the daughters, befriend with sons, so there is a huge gap. And when emotions and feelings, ideas and thoughts cannot be shared, so misunderstanding creates, misunderstanding generates. So there is lot of misunderstanding between Kafka and his father. So you can say that Kafka is prejudiced against his father, and but he claims this fact that his father works very hard, but he dislikes the idea, he hates the idea his father is sitting in the room and reading books and working hard, and he doesn't invite him, he doesn't talk to him. So he has got lot of complaints against his father, and complaints then are followed by accusations, and bitter accusations, hard accusations. Yes.
his father wanted him to be strong, but Kafka was timid and shy.
Hmm.
Timid and
Actually,
shy.
there are various factors. When there is no effective communication, when there is no friendship, there is a misunderstanding. And Kafka's father wanted Kafka to be strong, to be brave, but Kafka, by nature, was timid and shy. So his father didn't try to befriend with him, because he didn't try that Kafka should communicate his feelings, his thoughts to him. And Kafka remained half man. So he suffered a lot mentally and psychologically. So we can say that due to these factors, these are the factors, Kafka considers life absurd. Kafka's characters and protagonists, they feel alienation, identity crisis, you can say. So Kafka was suffering from identity crisis. So his characters are also suffering from identity crisis. But you can say that Kafka's writing uh, have got a lot of serious elements that are going to be considered, that are going to be considered and that are going to be debated. Yes.
He did not get along with him in a real sense.
Yes.
Complaints and accusation in the letters.
Ji.
Communication gap between the father and son.
As we know that there is a communication gap between two generations. His father represent the old generation, the past, and his son represent the new generation. Because as we know that in modern and postmodern writings, we can see that the characters basically suffer psychologically or mentally. So there is lot of communication gap. So Kafka represents one generation, father represent another generation. So there is a no harmony, affinity, and love between Kafka and his father, and due to that, he suffered physically, mentally, psychologically. Yes, any question you want to ask, Peter? Yes. Yes, you want to ask any question? Have you understood? Now, this is basically introduction of Kafka, because in the next lecture, we are going to study letters to his father in details, because there will be the PDF file, and we read from that PDF file, and I will make you understand the theme basically regarding. Yes, any question you want to ask?
Sir, he has any siblings?
Speak loudly, Asya.
Sir, he has any siblings?
Asking something.
He has?
Siblings. Sir, he has any siblings? उनके कोई भाई बहन थे?
Yes, I think. Yes. Yes. He has got siblings. Yes.
Sir, can you subjectivity writing? Sir, उसको थोड़ा सा समझाएं. Subjective writing.
Ji beta, ask it again.
Sir, subjective writing, as Kafka used to write subjective writings. Sir,
Okay. Yes, I have understood. Basically, when writers own life, when writers own feelings, when writers own ideas reflect in his writings, so we can say that to some extent there is element of subjectivity. There is a famous poem in English literature. Who is that? There is a subjectivity in his writing, or there is subjectivity in his poems. Kafka is suffering from tuberculosis. That poet is also suffering from tuberculosis. Do you mention his name? Is anyone?
John
Keats. He's a romantic poet.
John Keats, sir.
Very good, very good. John Keats was suffering from tuberculosis, especially consumption. And there is a subjectivity in his writings, because when we read his odes, particularly, and to some extent there is a shadow of his personality. There is a subjectivity in his writing, because he's talking about suffering of human beings. Basically he's talking about his own suffering. When he's talking about separation of beloved, he's talking about the feelings and emotions, the sentiments. Basically he's talking about his own sentiments and own life and own relation. He is there is a negative capability in Keats, in the sense that he basically suffered a lot physically and mentally, and his sufferings influence his writings. So Kafka, you can compare Kafka with Keats. So Kafka has got contradiction and clash with his father. And Keats basically, he has got clash and conflict with his beloved Fanny Brown. So we cannot say that Kafka and Keats' life are totally are 100% same. It's not so. To some extent, we can compare in order to understand. Yes, understood? Yes, beta, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, Audrey Nonnell was also the subject.
Yes.
Audrey Nonnell, as he wrote Long Day's Journey into Night, where he's talking about his life sufferings and incidents. So, is it also subjective writing?
Yes, there is a
Subjective.
subjectivity. There is a subjectivity, because long day's journey into night is writers, to some extent there are remnants of his own life. Yes, we can say that there's a subjective element in that play, in that drama. As we know that
Yes.
Samuel Beckett also suffered a lot, and he took part in the World War, and he suffered a lot. And then afterwards, what he did do, because he could see the people suffer, and people, you can say millions of the people were killed and millions others were injured. They were in sufferings. So what would be the outcome? There was no constructive element in his plays in writing, and there is all destructive elements, all absurdity, you can say that. So yes, there are certain subjective elements, subjective aspect in the writing of we can say that there is autobiographical element in the writings of Kafka. So therefore his uh, narration basically is a first person narration. He is also showing his subjectivity of subjective life, you can say that. Yes.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to share both of these uh, with you, and then you read these both of writings, and then we will, inshallah, we will discuss.
Yes, sir, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Allah
you, sir.
Hafiz.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
What is stop?